Do you ever catch yourself wondering how much further you would have been in life if you came from like a real, like wealthy family? And I'm talking about the kind of family that, they got access to certain things, they got money, they got connections, and everything you desire, everything you need is just a simple ask or is a simple calling up someone and they got you. And I'm not, envious of people that come from this lifestyle. I do catch myself wondering though, how would I have been if I was like a Nepo baby? Because when you didn't grow up around money, around access to people and opportunity, sometimes life can low-key feel like everyone has access to a room that you were never taught how to enter to begin with. And that was when I started to realize randomly last week as I was on the Stairmaster sweating like a pig, I then started to realize that maybe the biggest advantage Nepo babies have isn't the fact that they come from money. Maybe it's growing up believing that they already belong in rooms that other people feel intimidated by because they have this strong sense of identity. And we're over here trying to scramble and figure out who's got access, who's got the keys to the room because we're confused. Now, stay with me a little bit longer because the way you move through life changes when you stop seeing yourself as someone begging for access and you start seeing yourself as someone who already belongs and has it. Now, if you're new here, my name is Buki Sosa and welcome to Shh and Listen. Over here, we talk about what's going on in the world in terms of media, pop culture, politics, documentaries, what's trending, you name it. We talk about what's going on in the world so we can sit here and we can examine what's going on inside of us and we can use that as a case study to learn and be better and transform to be better individuals. Now, if that sounds like your thing, hit the subscribe button, grab a snack, grab a popcorn, because it's going to be a good one. Nepotism. I think I can assume that everybody watching will understand what the word means. So let me just level set for everyone and let's define it together. When you think about nepotism, it pretty much means someone that's in power that favors their son, daughter, or some type of relative, someone that they know that's related to them in some way. And they're giving them jobs, opportunities, access, and special advantages, regardless of whether or not that person is qualified for that role or for that advantage or not, regardless of whether they deserve it or not. That's pretty much what nepotism means. And you see this at a grand scale with people who come from wealthy families or elite or aristocrat. Like you see it a lot within those circles. It's a very common thing. I want to say a very common thing to do in practice. Now, when we look at media, when we look at celebrity culture, when we look at things on social, I think it's become, I don't want to say it's a trend because it's always been a thing since like the earlier centuries, but we're seeing it now more common because in the age of media, maybe a lot of the celebrities we grew up watching 90s, 2000s, a lot of them had kids, and these kids, they grew up in the public eye. So we saw them from infancy all the way now. A lot of them are maybe in their 20s and 30s, like they're full-fledged adults, and you're seeing them how they maneuver through life, the certain advantages they have because they're the son or daughter of so and so. You seeing them make their mistakes or their wins, their losses in real time. So it's almost like it's at a spectacle and we're here sort of watching and seeing really how the game is being played. And some like examples I can list is like Willow and Jaden Smith, son and daughter of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. You think about Obama's daughters, Malia and Sasha. You think about the royal family in the UK. Prince Harry and William and all the other people in them royals. That's forever going to be a Nepo family. You think about the kids of Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Elon Musk and his battalion of kids. And in the most recent time as I'm filming it, you're kind of seeing it with Jafar Jackson and how he was able to play his uncle Michael Jackson in his biopic. You know, you're seeing that that is an example of someone that you can tell he worked very hard for that role to play Michael. He got the moves, he got the dances, he got the sensitive voice. That was such a bad impersonation, but you know, if you watch the movie Michael, you can see that like he did a good job in trying to mimic the voice. So like, and that opportunity was, you know, given. You can't deny the fact that because that's his Michael Jackson's nephew, you can't deny that that didn't really play a factor in him playing Michael in this biopic. So my point is that there are a lot of Nepo babies everywhere. Everywhere. It is left, right, and center. And I'm curious, comment down below, is there anyone in particular that you guys like to follow or watch their journey or just see what they're up to? I would love to know in the comment section below. Now, because we are in the social media age, one of the things that comes up around this topic is comparison culture. You know, we see what so-and-so is doing. We see what so-and-so bought or where they're traveling or, you know, the parties they're being invited to or whatever the case may be. You're quite literally in real time comparing your life with the life of someone that probably had further steps ahead when they were born just because of the type of family they were born into. And because we find ourselves comparing to these folks, to others in general, whether they're, you know, come from a wealthy family or not, because if we're simply comparing ourselves to others, it will simply kill whatever joy you have. It will simply kill whatever sense of accomplishment you have. And I think that it often makes us feel like we're forever behind if we keep approaching and looking at certain individuals as a barometer and a measure of success for us. And as I mentioned earlier on in this video, I have absolutely no envy towards someone who grew up in a privileged family or come from that. Like, if the opportunity was offered, trust me, I strongly believe a lot of us would not pass that up. Like, it is nice having some type of parent or a mentor, someone that has gone through certain things that you're trying to go through right now, somebody that can show you the blueprint and you don't have to repeat the same mistakes they did. They can show you left from right. They can catch you when you fall. They can cover up your mistakes so you don't have to take a big L for yourself or by yourself. And then you can have someone that has raw talent and is very gifted, and they have absolutely no connections, no guidance, and they're over here trying to play Where's Waldo, trying to find where the next opportunity is, and they can spend years just trying to find the damn door. So this video is not to bash anyone, because like I mentioned, it really is a blessing if you come from a family like that. There's a certain sense of ease that comes from being in a well-connected situation or family. There's a certain sense of comfort. There's a certain sense of relaxation you would experience. And I've met a couple people in my life, even dated one too, that came from that type of family. And I've just sensed that there's a certain level of comfort and ease, that they don't be worrying about certain stresses that maybe someone who didn't grow up in that family does. So the connections, the access, all of it is a blessing. It really is. So when you look at Nepo babies, when you look at relatives from these households, you know, they have this strong sense of their family name, this strong sense of legacy. Like when you think of a Vanderbilt or a Dangote or you know, a Gates or a Jackson, like there is a strong sense, a strong pride in that family name. And because there's that strong sense of pride in your name, It changes automatically the way you move and how you identify yourself in certain spaces. And another thing I really want to touch on is this whole spiritual element to it. And when I say spiritual, I'm going to be talking in the sense of like a Christian perspective. I'm Christian personally. That's the perspective that I want to focus on for this. And I think it's important to realize that we ourselves are we are spiritual beings naturally. We are spiritual beings in a very much physical body. So therefore, we have a creator. We have someone who created us. And because of that, we then can have our identity rooted in God. We have when you have a strong sense of identity, it kind of gives you a strong sense of direction in life. As I mentioned earlier, it changes how you walk, how you talk, how you move. And identity also shapes access to. It shapes how you're perceived in certain rooms. Like for example, if you look at culturally, people who know where they're from in terms of, hey, I'm from West Africa, or I'm from Mexico, or I'm from, I don't know, and I'm German, or they know, they can trace back their roots, and they're very connected to their cultural roots. You see it come up in the food that they like, or the how they slip in certain languages. There are certain words in their language and sentences, or how they connect with people. Like there's this strong sense of identity because you know where you're from. Like even for me, like yes, I grew up in Canada all my life, but I am very much still Nigerian. I grew up in a Nigerian household. I ate the food. I watched the movies. A lot of my friends are Nigerian. Like there's a strong sense of identity in that because it's almost like it's a knowing. It's something that you feel. It's an experience, right? So that changes the way that I show up in life. So bringing it back to the spiritual, when we think about our identity rooted in God. Now the problem is bringing it back to the whole comparison culture. The problem is that a lot of us move through life like we are spiritually orphaned. Like we don't have God guiding us, that we don't believe God is a father, and we don't believe that God could open doors for us, that God's got our back. A lot of us move through life like we are spiritually orphaned. And there's a certain sense of heaviness and a certain sense of hopelessness when that's your state of mind, when that's what you believe, when that's what you're carrying. And you see it in the way you show up in your personal life, in certain rooms, when you're interacting with people. And some people inherit belonging, they inherit proximity, they inherit this sense of confidence early on. And some of us we have to be taught it. We have to be taught it, and we have to inherit it through faith. And we have to live it out, and do it until we believe it. And some people spend years feeling like they have to earn the right to just exist in certain spaces. I certainly had to do a lot of personal work on this, where I felt like I always had to like prove myself in certain spaces, always have to show my value, and just couldn't just be, I couldn't just rest. I couldn't just take up space just cause I'm a child of God, just cause I know I'm favored, just cause I know, how God will show up for me. Like for the longest time, I didn't walk and move through life with that sense of confidence. And for maybe you watching, maybe you've gone through a similar thing. And when you really deep it for a minute, you're going to realize that if you really believe God is your father and you trust in that, then you're not ever coming from a place of lack. You are his child. You were never meant to move through this life alone, unsupported, or disconnected. You're coming from a place of an inheritance. And that inheritance isn't some flashy, like, it may not always be trust fund like we humanly think, but it's a thing of where we're guided, we're protected, we're being developed in a certain season of our lives, we're strengthening our character, our level of discipline, and giving a sense of purpose. So yeah, maybe you are a Nepo baby, but just not in the way the world thinks and not in the way we see it, like the way the world does. But I'm just explaining it to you that way you can conceptualize it a little bit better. Now, one thing you have to realize for Nepo babies that grew up in this life that they're in is normal to them. Like this lifestyle of access and privilege and power and opportunity and everything handed to them is normal. That is how they've been shaped and programmed. That's how their setup is. So when access is all you've ever known, it's just normal life to you. Like you don't wake up saying, wow, I'm privileged. You just simply wake up and you just be. And there's a lot of comfort. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of comfort in that. And another thing too to keep in mind is when your brain doesn't have contrast. And when I say contrast, it simply means comparing something to the polar opposite. So like AC and heater, hot, cold, sour, sweet, spicy, not spicy, like comparing something to the total opposite to get that little contrast. When your brain has absolutely zero contrast to anything, it's really hard to compare it against something and it's really hard to appreciate it. So, for example, if you've never experienced like hardship or living paycheck to paycheck, or at least like maybe not experience it yourself, but maybe being close to someone who has, if you haven't like seen it, it's sort of harder to appreciate having abundance or having wealth or having growing up in money because that's all you ever know. If you have no contrast, you don't realize how good you have it. And one of the examples that comes to mind, I remember a couple of years ago, I had this phase where I was really obsessed with the late Princess Diana. So I watched a lot of her documentaries. I liked how regal and sophisticated she was. And one of the things that stood out when I was researching about her and watching her docus is she understood the importance of contrast when it came to raising her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. She understood that she knew that these boys, they are the princes of the United Kingdom. They were gonna have access and privileges that no normal person will ever have access to. So she made it a duty, a thing to try and normalize, and I say normalize very loosely because you grew up in a royal family, ain't nothing normal about you. But she did her best to try and normalize their childhood in the sense of she took them to go get fast food instead of maybe eating steak and caviar. She took them to the shelter, the homeless shelters, the soup kitchens, to volunteer during the holidays, to donate their toys, to really be around people that don't have the access or privilege they have, be around people that are experiencing hardship, that are suffering. She mentioned that she was very intentional about that because she understood that she needed to give her boys a certain level of exposure to a different life that they could easily be shielded away from. They can easily not have any know with all about people going through hardship in their country.
And I met her twice, and you couldn't meet a better person, she was just fantastic. I mean, she did things for the homeless people that nobody else could do. Really nice lady, and her kids as well. I met her 2 kids. She brought her kids in '96 to a hostel in Euston, another cold weather. And William, Harry, they're like really, really good kids. And that's who I really feel sorry for.
So it was important that she exposed them. And that level of exposure, you see how it stayed with them in their adult life. That's why a lot of them are so involved in charities and wanting to give that and wanting to give back and pour into the community and just have do some type of good because of that exposure their mother gave them when they were young. So my point is, when you that contrast helps broaden your perspective. And there's something quite sexy about it. I'm not gonna lie. There's something sexy about dealing with people, dealing with someone that has a broadened perspective because they've experienced life, different phases of life. They've experienced things that they learned and they grew from, and it shaped them to be better, to show up differently, to show up better. Now, for you watching, you can be on your own personal journey of self-development or trying to level up in life, or trying to figure out how you can get that support and guidance. And I would say, from one person to another going through a similar journey, one of the things that really helped is being appreciative of the contrast you have to see the different points of view, being appreciative that those past experiences that you have, although a lot of it may have been tough, it kind of shaped and developed who you are right now. And be appreciative of when you're finally decide to embody this next stage in life, that you can appreciate it a lot better because you've experienced the opposite. And on top of that, there's a sense of beauty that comes with the journey of leveling up and developing yourselves. I think that a lot of the times media wants to make us think that the journey of wanting to level up and be successful in life, they make it seem like it's some tiring rat race where you have to really suffer and scratch tooth and nail to get to that level. And it almost makes us resent the journey of getting there. And it makes us not enjoy the process. It makes us want to speed things up and sort of microwave our way to success. And there's a sense of beauty of learning along the way, of having wins and losses, knowing that it's shaping us, it's molding us in our perspective, and to see it almost like a calibration period, honestly. Because sometimes having to build something that you created for yourself forces you to be a solid individual, and it also helps with keeping what you build. It helps with having it sustainable, whatever you're building, whatever purpose, project, business, brand, or whatever the case may be. That journey of character development and calibrating is something that the more we can celebrate it, the easier it is mentally being on that journey. And I don't know if you've ever watched interviews of people who made it. And when I say made it, I mean like they've crossed the other side. Like they've made all the success they could possibly make. They've reached that 1% status, whatever they were chasing. And they look back and they say that they actually missed the journey. They can look back and appreciate the journey. And sometimes I low-key find it annoying hearing that, because I'm like, it's easier to say it because you're on the other side. So for somebody who's just starting their journey, it can sound annoying hearing that. But if we can keep in mind that this is where the fun really is, and kind of tricking your brain to think it's fun, it'll probably make the process a little bit easier. And last thing to keep in mind too is that knowing that there is a higher power, knowing that there is guidance from God directing your every step. And keep in mind too that if God created the world in 6 days, I'm pretty sure he can transform your life overnight. So knowing that should shape automatically the way you walk, the way you talk, how confident you are in certain rooms, because of the fact that you are spiritually guided and you're putting your trust in God with your vision, with your plan, with your execution, with everything from start to finish. Now, if you find yourself living in the past a lot and it's affecting how you show up mentally today, watch this next video. Until next time.